Initially, when the Black Self-Development Programme was introduced in the prison, the men were very sceptical about it. They couldn't see any benefit in having a Black Self-Development Programme because really they couldn't grasp the notion of the Black self needing to be developed. What changed was the idea of looking at Black history from a wider perspective than European history. This is what really made the difference. And the men had a much more positive view of their ancestry when they did this. And this gave them a much more positive way of thinking about their history in a worldwide context and the excellent contribution that their ancestors had made to worldwide history. Oh, well, there have been a number of unexpected results from the programme. What's been very interesting to observe is that the men, when they do the training, they become good friends and develop a very healthy respect for each other. Many of the men have admitted prior to doing the 6-week training course that they knew some of the other men from around the prison and they had rather negative ideas about the men. But having spent the time together in the group, they've actually got to know each other well and develop good relationships. One legacy of the course is that we find now, maybe a year, 2 years after doing the course, the men are still maintaining those strong friendships. Another interesting aspect of the programme was a conference in 2011 where we had a number of agencies in the prison who were interested in working with the Black population here. And 5 of the men who had done the Black Self-Development Programme agreed to talk to 150 staff and guests at this conference. None of the men had any prior experience of speaking in public, and yet they were able to talk about their experience in the programme very eloquently and very movingly. They talked about how they had grown in confidence, how they had a much more positive view about their future after they left prison. And there was one man in particular that stands out in my mind because he spoke about how doing the Black Self-Development Programme had entirely changed his life and given him an idea that he could have a really good future after he had left prison. Prior to doing the course, he had absolutely no positive expectations after release. The course itself is a fantastic course, and it definitely enables men to build their self-worth, to have an appreciation of themselves as Black men, and a much more positive view of the future. Of course, the rationale behind the course is because there's an overrepresentation of Black people in prison. There are about 14% of Black minority ethnic people and 3% of Black African Caribbean people in the UK and Wales. Of that, 60% of the prison population is made up of people from the Black minority ethnic background. What makes the course come to life, though, is the very dynamic facilitation on the course. We have tutors who have a very unique and therapeutic technique of bonding with men in the group. And this actually encourages the men to engage and give of their best. The whole process of the course and the bonding techniques actually makes for a very successful course and a very rewarding experience for the men. It's difficult to measure what impact the work and relationships within the course has on families. However, the men do spend a considerable time looking at relationships during the course, and they get a very balanced view because there's a male and a female tutor. And certainly, if the men have a more positive image of themselves and a more positive outlook for the future, this will most certainly impact on the families, both while the men are in prison and in the future. And I know that the men certainly talk to their families about what they're doing on the programme.